Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Welcome. I am Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the Follow the Brand podcast and TV show. Listen, learn, and communicate your brand. Align your digital profile to how you appear and interact in person. Create your LinkedIn profile to be your digital ambassador, says my next guest, award-winning author, writer, and digital brand expert, Kaemmerer. She has a special affinity with displaced C-suite executives by helping them to learn and develop a brand that other people recognize. According to Carol, we must strive to be recognizable inside and outside of our current job or business. She advocates for keeping wisdom in the workplace with a strong focus on brand pillars. What are the 3 things you want to be known for? What are your differentiators? What are your purpose, passion, and principles that you lead with? Become your own brand ambassador. Kaemmerer took what seemed to like shockingly bad news and turned it into an amazing opportunity. After a surprise downsizing in the Fortune 500 company she served as a consultant, Carol found that her 20 years of marketing communications experience provided the perfect setup for helping professionals build their online brand. LinkedIn, she recognized, is an integral part of that brand building. But many brilliant leaders are unable to articulate their brand effectively on LinkedIn, and that was a weak link in their online reputation. Since 2011, Carol has focused her communications expertise on helping C-suite executives and senior leaders use LinkedIn powerfully, creating positioning and messaging that reflects their business passion with authenticity. The American Reporter has recognized her as one of the top 6 professional branding experts to watch in 2022. Her award-winning book, LinkedIn for the Savvy Executive, was published in its 2nd edition in 2021. Carol is a professional member of the National Speakers Association, certified virtual presenter, advisor to the C-Suite Network, esteemed faculty member of the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, and a member of Leadership Global. Let us welcome Carol Kaemmerer to the Follow Brand podcast, where we are building a 5-star brand that you can follow. Welcome, everyone, and I want to first of all, I'm thankful for you being a part of the Follow the Brand podcast. All my listeners, my entire audience, I want to introduce you to someone that inspires me. I get a lot of people always asking me, Grant, why did you get into branding? What's this personal brand thing? Because I follow people that got it. They understood the journey and what it takes to be visual and visible in today's business climate. It's no longer acceptable just to have a resume and a CV and a bio to get to that next level, to that next job, that next business client. You've got to be able to present yourself digitally in a way that's going to be attractive, that's going to be informative, that's going to be entertaining. And Carol Kaemmerer does that eloquently. She's been doing it for a number of years. We're going to ask her about her personal brand, what got her started, and what her passion is about helping others to develop their personal brand. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Carol Kaemmerer. I'm from Minneapolis. I'm a professional speaker. I work with executives and senior leaders one-on-one to help them to develop their brand online on LinkedIn.
Well, you've been doing that at an exceptional level. You've been ranked nationally, I think not even nationally, but worldwide for your brand services that you've done for a number of individuals over, these last years. But I want to take it back because I think a lot of people are interested in your personal story. You've had some similarities between me and you in which that we are in corporate America. We were in the healthcare field. We were doing our business. I think you were in marketing. I was in sales. You went through a downsizing, and then you chose this as a profession. Talk to us. Take us through that journey before you were a personal brand strategist to where you're at now.
Okay, I'd love to. I worked for 20 years communicating for a medical device company, a Fortune 500 company. And I loved doing what I did. But when the company downsized, they decided to outsource several departments, major functions, including marketing communications. And that meant that I had no job. It was an amazing thing to me, and I was really bummed by it. But what I realized is that a lot of my angst was because of my previous behavior. My previous behavior was that everybody inside the company knew who I was and what I could do, but nobody outside the company knew because I had been very focused. And it worked for me, It really did. For 18 of those 20 years, I just had more work than I could shake a stick at. And, then it started to unravel. So I knew that I needed to turn to LinkedIn to develop a brand that other people could recognize. Other people needed to know what I could do in order for me to be able to work again. And as I was studying it as a subject matter, to be able to use it along with my writing skills, I reached out to those people who had hired me for all those 20 years and who had also lost their jobs. And I said, let me help you a little bit with your LinkedIn profile. I'm learning such great things about how this profile and platform work. And if you know how it works, it's remarkable. Let's do something. So I would help them a little bit. And then something really strange happened. They began to send their friends to me for that same service. And I realized that people were identifying me with a new area of subject matter expertise. What I loved was taking that same branding brilliance that I've been polishing all those 20 years inside the company, taking that and shining it on people instead of products.
Yes.
It was providing such joy for me. And so I've been working in that area since my layoff in 2011. And specifically, when I work one-on-one, I work just with senior level people because I have a special affinity to that group. One of the things that happened way before I lost my job, this happened in 2008, was that about 3 of my highly placed friends lost their positions. Well, that's not unusual. So many people lost their positions in 2008 with that big recession. I made the mistake of when I would see them, 9 months to a year later, I was, oh, how are you? And where did you land? Each time I did that with, one person after the other, there would be this huge pause. They would look at their shoes. They would look up at me and say, I guess I've retired.
Mm.
And I'm going, oh my gosh, these people, they couldn't have been much of for 55. But, once we hit 50, there is this danger that if we lose our position, we will never work again, especially in a highly placed position.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really understand what happened to them. But when I lost my job in 2011, I understood what happened to them. They had not realized that the old method of going about looking for a job, making sure that your resume was on, just the right color vellum, and making sure that the font that they used was just perfect. That wasn't the way anymore. And everybody in those early years was kind of leery about LinkedIn, and they didn't know how to use it, and they weren't using it, and the executive recruiters had already moved on. They didn't send out the memo to everybody.
No, they didn't. I know what you mean.
No, yeah. And so what I realized is that I wanted to make sure that we don't lose the wisdom in the workplace because people are not familiar with how to use LinkedIn. So that has been an area of my passion since 2011, because I feel almost militant about it, that shouldn't have happened. That the world lost wisdom, it lost experience, it lost people who could have been helpful, but they just didn't know how to get back in. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big parts of my brand, is to make sure that there are resources for people. That's why I published my book. That's why I became a professional speaker, so that I could not only help people one-on-one, which is what I love to do, but so that I could reach more people with this message that really is very simple. When we tell who we are in an authentic way, when we string our positions together in a giant arc of some kind, we tell our business story our way, people can still see, yes, this person still has value. But when we don't have that going for us, it's very hard at the age of 50 plus to find that executive position again. And so that's where my heart is to make sure that our companies don't lose that wisdom.
That's well said. Love the vision. Love the mission and the story. Your why is very prominent. And there's a lot of people that are out there. 50 is not the end of the road, not even close. I mean, people.
Oh no.
Older and other things. And there's such a gap. I've heard from a lot of different people, even, the millennials now are 35 to 45. They're not young any longer. They're running companies, they're doing things, but you still need mentorship. So if you don't have that mentorship, the mentorship comes from the people that have walked in your shoes.
Right.
So if they're not given that opportunity where they can come back into the workforce as a consultant, they can come back in the workforce in many other different ways. However, what you said was so important, is that the form of communication, and as a marketing and communication person, you understand this, the form of communication is no longer radio, TV, print. It's social media every day. I mean, that'll be your first starting point, right? Of how people are going to really know you. Man, before you were branding businesses like that because it's so expensive. You couldn't do it just for one individual unless you were a very well-paid lawyer or real estate person. You might have seen that. Those are the ones that really you would think had, well, you would call personal brand. But the personal brand businesses exploded. You know, a lot of people don't even know that Elon Musk actually owns Tesla. They think he's this and SpaceX and this and that, but his brand is so huge from a personal aspect. You know, Oprah Winfrey, you know Oprah, but you may like, oh yeah, she does own, she does own OWN and things to these huge brands. So as a person, you have huge potential if you know how to work with your own personal brand and get it in front of the right audience. I think that's so important to get it in front of the right audience. Is so important. I wanted to ask you this because now the audience is peaked. They're tuned in, right? They're listening right now, and we're in tough economic times right this second. And people are asking, well, I haven't really curated my LinkedIn presence. I have one. It really just kind of regurgitates my bio and my resume. I don't post that often. I might like a little bit. I'm just not saying I don't even have backgrounds, but yet now I just got laid off. How do you help that person?
Okay. So the first thing that I do when someone has just been laid off and they come to me is I listen to them and I figure out whether they're ready to work. So many people in the first few weeks are so full of vitriol that they can't focus on anything else and nobody can work with them. So I need them to cool down for a little bit and, just reflect for a while, and then we can work together. So if they've come to me for my executive services, the way that we do it is I listen to them tell their story. And usually they don't tell the story full blown. They tell it in, little pieces. And I look for what I call brand pillars, but I don't tell them that. I say, what do you want to be known for? What are the 3 things you want to be known for? And, whether that's 3 kinds of jobs or, 3 times, like my 3 are speaker, executive branding expert, and author. So some people have 3 like that. Some people will give me 3 results. They work with a certain kind of customer or client so that the client will have these 3 results. So whatever it is, we're looking for 3 because 3 is a wonderful number. People are hardwired to remember things in 3, and that's why preachers and teachers and speakers all use the formula of 3 because it sticks in our head. So I try to build blocks of information in groups of 3. So I ask them, what do they want to be known for? I ask them, what are their differentiators? What do they do that's different from the person that has the same title, down the street? What is it that they bring? What is their special sizzle? Their secret sauce. What do they add to the mix that makes their service or their product or who they are special? And so we mix that in. And then I ask them their keywords because sometimes they're surprising. And, we want to make sure that that's in there too. And then I build them their wonderful brand. My concept is to align their LinkedIn profile to the way they appear and the way they interact in person, so that I built them a digital ambassador that works for them hard. It knows and uses their keywords often, and it is robust. When we write to the margins on LinkedIn, it helps us to be found, because when we're writing about ourselves, our business passion, our purpose, our principles, we're using our keywords. And when we use them often, we rank well on the LinkedIn search.
Yeah.
So that's the first, we get their profile in place. I'd talk to them too about other things beyond LinkedIn. They have to be having regular meetings with people they knew before to network. And then I also teach them how to network online, how to be visible and top of mind on LinkedIn by the way you interact online, what you post, how you engage in conversation on LinkedIn. It's really quite a lovely thing. And it goes way beyond, I'm sprinkling likes on the, it's like, oh no, that's not going to work. That doesn't get you any notice at all. But if you take the time to engage, read the article, read the post, and say, oh, I really like point number 3 because I've seen that so often in situations where blah, 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 and then you are putting something out there and then they can respond. So when you do that, almost every content creator will respond. And any content creator worth their salt is going to respond a lot. It's like, if someone takes the effort to make an analogy based on what you said, it's the yes and principle, you're going to respond just, falling all over yourself with excitement because somebody is connecting with your idea. And so when that happens, you've got your network paying attention and their network paying attention. So this is a very good strategy for someone who needs to be top of mind at this point because they've lost their job.
This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement in operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand. I love that. I love the engagement process. You're just like if you were meeting someone, let's say you're going to their office. You're going to their office in a meeting. How are you going to show up? I would figure you would be in professional attire and that you would be engaging and that you would have conversation. The same thing applies to the digital world, right?
Yes.
How are you showing up? What do you look like? I know for me, I learned this lesson, I think it was in 2014. And I went to a Fortune 500 training. And decided first, really, I was on LinkedIn, right? I was on the platform, but I had just put up a full body shot And, the resume, really everything I put on the LinkedIn was just my resume. And that was basically it. It wasn't a lot to it because at the time, LinkedIn was more like a monster.com, like an Indeed type of thing where people are looking for so-and-so. Do you know anybody? It wasn't what it is today.
Right.
And when I went to that training, that was my eye-opening event because the trainer said, like, who do you need to engage with? Now I'm in IT professional information technology. So he showed a vice president of information technology. And, you saw the nice headshot, the well-crafted background, the about section, the story was spot on. He had good information in articles that he had done. And then he said that really, really stopped me in my track. He said, now look at this person and now look at your profile and ask yourself, would this person honestly engage with you? And I was like, what? Wow. So
Yeah.
would you show up in his office looking the way you do on your digital profile? So that was an eye-opening experience for me. That was just from a visual standpoint.
Yes.
And like you said, learning how to have digital conversations with people is very, very important. I wanted to ask you this, because I know you've established yourself, especially now as an expert in your field, no doubt. But what are those qualities that you brought forth from your previous life in marketing communications? Were you in the copyright world? Were you doing more visual? What were you doing that you now still leverage to this day?
Oh, I was writing. I was definitely writing and writing brand material for medical devices at that time. The transfer of skills is almost perfect. When I would come to a new product, I would have to listen. I would listen to the marketing person. I would listen to the engineers. I would listen to the physicians that had implanted it. I would listen to patients. So first you listen, and then you build the key points that need to be communicated to each audience. So still, I'm listening and figuring out what are the key points to communicate, because we want our brands to be memorable. We want people to go, oh, yes, I know her because she blah, 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 And so in order for that to happen, we need to be very intentional about what are those brand pillars, what are those sound bites that we have as part of our regular communication about the brand or our communication about ourselves.
That's wonderful. I want to, because you got me curious now, because you've been doing this for a while. If you had to tell me a story of success, like you helped this individual, and because you helped this individual, they achieved this particular new result, something that was just a good, heartwarming story. How to utilize your services as an enabler to get there.
Well, I have a very fun story. I had a national sales director who was referred to me, and I knew he was, a great guy. Everybody said he was wonderful, but he was so sad when he came to see me. He knew that he needed to leave his position before he was fired because the new CEO that had taken over kept changing directions for the company. And it was hard for him to give direction to the sales team. And so they were all falling apart because they had this crazy guy at the top. At any rate, he was so burned out that it was hard to imagine how I was going to make him sparkle and shine, as I always do. I knew he was worthy of sparkle and shine, but I couldn't, as I was fishing for, where was the sparkle in the eyes? Where was the passion? What is it that really would light him up. I went through all of his past positions and that wasn't it. So I said, do you have any volunteer activities that are important to you? Oh, that was the question. So he had actually established a not-for-profit in a third world country, and he had involved people who were part of his congregation, and they were traveling to this country. And he had been the executive director for 7 years, so it wasn't a fly-by-night deal. It was a going concern. And I could see right away that being the executive director of that organization was very similar to being a national sales director in terms of that leadership that you have to show, that attention to detail about how to make it all work. And of course, he was working in a third world country, so he had to be very smart in terms of how to bring that all together and make it possible. And he was actually recruiting people from his congregation to be part of this mission. So when I wrote about his work, I wove together the story of his leadership with his companies that he had worked for and this volunteer position that was so important to him. At any rate, he called me a month after we finished our work together. And I thought, here's hoping. He said, you'll never guess where I'm going to start work on Monday. I said, no, I'm sure I won't. So at any rate, he said that an executive recruiter reached out to him for a position that he never would have applied for had he seen it written down, but it was perfect. They chose him to be the administrative pastor for a large congregation with multiple pastors who needed a leader to lead them in one direction. And so, he was able to bring in all of his administrative skills, all of his persuasion skills, all of his motivational skills, all of that stuff for this new position. It was golden. So, yes, the power of LinkedIn, the power of writing well enough that the bots can find you for any opportunity. So, we wrote about faith, we wrote about church, we wrote about mission, and we wrote about leadership. And all those things came together in this very new and very exciting for him opportunity.
That is a beautiful story. That I wanted to be able to illustrate to the audience the power of branding yourself properly, especially digitally, and then being able to, and you do need a coach. That's the thing. It's important to have coaching because you've been doing a certain thing for a certain number of years, and then someone else can really tap in, and then you just never know what's going to come next in your story. And you just showed us how important this is.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the audience a little bit more about your business model and your book so they can get an understanding of what it is like to work with you and then how they get a copy of your book.
Okay. Well, my book is LinkedIn for the Savvy Executive, Promote Your Brand with Authenticity, Tact, and Power. So I wrote the first edition in 2016, and I rewrote it for the pandemic and all the changes that LinkedIn has made for 2021. It was published last year. And you can get a copy, of course, on Amazon, but I'd love you to get an autographed copy from me on my website. And you'll find that at Kaemmerer.com, which is hard to spell. So it's CAROLKAEMMERER.com. If you have any trouble with that, if you just look on LinkedIn for Carol Kaemmerer and you spell it kind of any old way, I think I will come up. Um, but so I have the book, and it talks about how do you bring your brand across, not just in your profile, but also in the way that you interact on the platform. Because everybody's brand is different, and you want to be true to your brand in terms of the way you interact. So that's my book. It's a terrific book. It's won multiple awards.
Nice.
And then I wrote a course that's available for people who would like to take their LinkedIn profile to the next level, but they really don't want to do a one-on-one consulting thing. They like to be in control of it themselves. And this course is getting rave reviews. And it's pre-recorded. You can access it anytime you want. So you buy the course, you listen to a little 4-minute thing, and then you've got your homework till the next time you listen again, and you got more homework. And that one is all about building your profile online in a way that will help you be found for your ideal opportunities. I also speak to people and like in associations and to corporate groups, to sales forces, to teams, because companies are just now beginning to realize that people are their greatest asset, and that people that look good on LinkedIn make the company look better. And so some companies are starting to do that, and I can speak either virtually or in person to those groups. And then finally, I have my signature big program where I work one-on-one with a senior level person to help them look as fabulous online as they do in person, so that they frame up those conversations before they ever take place.
That is wonderful. I like the sparkle and shine. Get your sparkle and shine from Kaemmerer. I have one last question, real quick, and because you said something earlier that the landscape is changing. And we know that the study have shown that personal brands are more engaging from the human to human than business to human or business to consumer, that people will engage with a personal brand far more than would engage with your business brand.
Yes.
And that this now, what you just said earlier around your employees, people need to showcase their own skill set. It used to be, oh, that's competitive. Now it's an asset. You're looking for this person to really showcase themselves, and improves the value of who they are, and improves the value of the business. So talk to us about how you see this evolution changing like in the next 2 years.
So many people are changing seats these days with the Great Resignation. And what they are looking for is a great leader to work with. And so in this particular time, I'm working with great leaders to make sure that they can attract those people. Because if they put in their LinkedIn profile their purpose, their business passion, and their principles, how they lead, people will see them and want to come work for them. And so I see personal branding, not just, from the regular job seeker up, but also from the executive level down, because we all need to be more human. Mm-hmm. And historically, at least, senior level people, the people in the C-suite, have had the worst profiles ever. They're just skeletal outlines of a profile where they have, great picture from their marketing communication staff, And they've got, their job titles going back for a while, and they've got where they went to school, and that's it. No about section, except for if they are touting the company. It really is important for us to tell who we are, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so I see this as a way for people to really shine and help their business shine in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well said. Well stated. Well stated. This has been a wonderful interview. And I'm so glad you took the time to speak to me, speak to our audience. You've given us your contact information. I want to tell everybody, definitely go to your website. You can start out. You've got a lot of great content out there. You can read through that, get some information. Then when you're ready to take that next step, I definitely suggest taking your course, get a better understanding, and make those changes. And then they want to contact you and do a one-on-one. Now, if they just did a simple one-on-one, do you do a free consultation for that first, half hour or something like that? Or is that all paid?
No, if they are a right for me candidate, then I can talk to them about how we would work together.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I want to encourage also your audience to tune in to all the episodes on Follow the Brand. They can tune in at www.5starbdm. That's B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Thank you, and thank you very much for being a guest on the show.
Thanks so much.